Keeping your money in banks is a wise decision. But do you know that banks make money each time you spend, save, or borrow? There are many ways for banks to profit from you, whether you are taking out a loan, using your money, or conserving it. There are some strange things that banks do that you don't understand because the financial system is so complicated. We're not saying that banks are bad, but there are some things about money that banks do not want you to know. Welcome to Abonvi. In today's video, we're going to show you truths about money that banks don't want you to know. So stick to the video, keep watching, and let's dive in. Your money reduces every year. You've probably heard that the bank is the best place to keep your money, but no one has told you that you're losing money every year. This is not about the fees you pay when you spend money. This is about prices going up. The price of goods and services going up over time is called inflation. Let me ask you a question. If you put your savings in a bank, how much interest would you earn? At first glance, it seems like it would have to be at least a few percent to make sense, right? But if you look at big banks, interest rates are less than 0.5% and don't go above 1%. 0.5% of your money grows. In a few years, your money will be worth much less than it is right now. It means, for example, that what you could buy with a 20-pound bill this year will cost much more next year and in the years to come. You might think that the value of your money would stay the same over time, but it doesn't. Everyone who invests wants to keep up with inflation, but they can't. Your card transactions are sources of income for banks. Every time you use your credit or debit card to make a purchase, the bank makes money through processing fees. If the merchant pays the fees, you might not notice this. To avoid coming up short, any reputable business owner would have included this into the final selling price. A credit card is another way for banks to make money. What you don't know is that credit card interest rates are always going up. A credit card's average interest rate is 17%, but your bank can raise it to 18 or 19%. They can do this and give you notice for 30 days. When you get a letter with financial jargon, you don't always read it. If you don't, the bank will make money off of you. If you add up the interest on your credit cards, it will work against you and put you in a tough financial situation. Your credit card is not the same as your home loan. If you don't pay your credit card debt on time, it will get much worse than you could ever imagine. It might even have a 20% rate. Your money is not physically in the bank. Even if you have a lot of money in the bank, these are just numbers. This is because banks do businesses with the money you give them. They get business loans and mortgages with this money. Your money is in the bank, but it's not there. Instead, it's being used to make more money for the bank in other places. Your money is in the bank, but it doesn't exist in the real world. The way the banking system works is that each bank in the world can make a certain amount of money based on how much people have put into that bank. When you put your money in the bank, it lends it to someone else. It might give that person a 20% interest rate. That is a lot more than the rate of interest you'll get, which is 0.5%. The most a bank can keep is 10% of the deposit. The rest must be lent out. This is because of a policy called fractional reserve banking. Does this mean you shouldn't keep your money in a bank? Insurance and the government both protect the banks. Just remember that your money is working hard to make more money. Not for you this time, but for your bank. Bankers are not your friends. I'm sure you've thought of them as your best friends by now. They call you all the time, and they even remember when your birthday is. In reality, these people don't care about you at all. They are just following a well-rehearsed plan and waiting for the best time to act. Bankers are only interested in the numbers. Managers and supervisors give them goals, and if they don't meet these goals, they will lose their jobs. This is why they always pretend to befriend you so that they can manipulate you. Do not, under any circumstances, give in to the emotionally manipulative demands of a false friend that doesn't really care about you. Foreign transaction fees. Fees are another method that banks gain money off of their customers to fund their operations. Your bank will not inform you of this, but if you travel outside of the UK and make purchases using your credit or debit card, your bank may charge you fees. These costs can range from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars. Because if you knew this, you would probably close your bank account and find another place to bank. Therefore, banks will not provide you this information. The richer you are, the lower the rate you get. When deciding whether or not to grant loans to small businesses, financial institutions consider a number of factors. Even though there is a wide selection of loan programs to choose from, it may still be challenging to have a loan application for a business approved. Your ability to get a loan may be affected by a variety of factors, including the length of time you have been operating your company, your personal credit score, and any financial statements or tax returns you have prepared. Your chances of success could improve depending on the kind of financing you submit an application for. Banks are companies in the same sense that any other kind of business is. They are answerable to the shareholders who own a stake in the company. They will not be able to remain in business if the business model does not generate a profit. Because of this, they are considerably more comfortable lending money to a wealthy individual than they are to a financially unstable one. This is due to the fact that in the event that the wealthy guy is unable to pay back the loan, he has the option of selling a portion of his company. In addition to this, the banks do this in order to guarantee that they will be able to obtain a loan from the wealthy individual in the event that the bank fails. They may add an additional charge. Because your bank account is such an important aspect of your life, you shouldn't let yourself get too busy to check it on a frequent basis. There is a possibility that there are additional costs that you are unaware of at this time. If you notice a charge and report it within the allotted time period of 90 days, the bank is required by law to restore the money to you within 48 hours. You should always take receipts for your ATM transactions too. The majority of people who use ATMs opt not to receive a receipt because they believe it will only be thrown away as scrap paper or crumbled up at the bottom of their bag if they do. It is recommended that you keep your ATM receipts for as long as possible, at least until you have confirmed that the transaction has been posted and that it's accurate. Therefore, in the event that a mistake is made within the bank or the ATM hands you an incorrect amount of money, you will have documentation of your transaction and you'll be able to request that the bank correct the error. They are watching you. Your bank will keep a record of all your financial transactions and has the ability to alert the authorities of any financial activity that seems suspicious. In light of this, you should be aware that your every financial move will be scrutinized. You are protected against charges made without your permission under federal law if you report a lost or stolen credit card immediately and before someone else uses it. This is the case even if the card has not been used yet. On the other hand, if you report the card after fraudulent charges have been made, you may be responsible for paying back at least some of the money that was stolen. If you wait up to 2 business days to report that your card has been lost or stolen, you could be held responsible for up to $50 of the transaction. You run the risk of forfeiting up to $500 if you wait longer than 2 days or up to 60 calendar days after your statement has been mailed to you. Make it a habit to check in on your accounts frequently, if not on a daily basis, and immediately report any fraudulent charges or lost or stolen cards. Credit unions may offer better rates on loans. Because they are not-for-profit organizations, credit unions typically have lower overhead costs. As a consequence of this, they are in a position to share the cost savings with their customers in the form of reduced interest rates on loans, mortgages, and even credit cards. When applying for a loan or mortgage, it is always a good idea to compare the terms and conditions offered by a number of different lenders. Credit unions may offer lower account fees than other financial institutions. Online banks are a better choice for high-yield savings accounts. You might believe that if you keep all of your accounts with the same bank, you will save yourself time and effort while you are shopping around for the best savings account. However, online banks typically offer a higher annual percentage yield, APY, than traditional banks with brick-and-mortar locations. So, before you open another account, you should shop around and see what other options are available. Conclusion: when opening a new checking account or applying for a loan, many people skip right over the terms and conditions section, but you need to make sure that you read and comprehend all of the small print. Since disclosure statements are considered to be legal documents, it is imperative that you are aware of what you are agreeing to prior to signing up. Carefully read all the terms and conditions, and if there is anything that doesn't make sense to you, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. If you don't fully understand how your bank accounts function, you could end up paying unnecessary fees and missing out on potential interest earnings over the course of your lifetime. Do your homework. Check that you understand every aspect of the account, and don't be afraid to ask questions to ensure that you have all the information you need before beginning. That's it for today. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.